Here are the measurements for the coin purse. In order to make the little circles that you see, you simply trace along something that is similar to this shape. I have this here. Just trace around the circle. That's how I do it. Same thing with the pocket here. You just use something circle and trace around it. And that is the first part. These are the measurements. So now that you know the measurements, I'm going to flip this over to show you. There are two of these. This is the front. This is the liner. This is the handle, which this is different the way it is usually done. You'll see. And then this is, you're going to cut two of these out. This is the lid. And you're just going to sew along here. Don't sew this, just sew along here, and then I'll show you what to do. So the handles will go, this is a center mark line, and then 2 centimeters, and then 1.5 centimeters. This is where the handle will go. Right here is where the handle will go. Same thing with the other side. And then you're going to cut a little bit along this middle part here. You're going to cut. And then the same thing with the other side. And then you're going to take these two ends and meet them together so that it's, you'll see when you cut it like this and they meet together, you'll create sort of like a little dart down the side of the bag, if that makes sense. So the way you do this then is you cut down the middle of this dart here, and you fold it inward to match the pretty side with the pretty side, and you just sew down, and it should make a really nice shape. At the end, both sides, when you sew them together, it should look kind of like a shell when it's done. You gotta like kind of shape it, so you just sew both ends together. And this should be what it looks like, the end result. Now, you might have to play around with it to get the lines to be exactly the same. But, yeah, it just kind of poops out. Like, these darts force the bag to poof out like that. That's the way you want it. That's the way it should look. The next thing you're going to do is work on the handle, and I'm doing this a little bit different. You're going to take the pretty side against the pretty side and sew it together, one strip across, okay, just one strip, and then I'll show you the next step. So you're just going to sew straight down the entirety of this thing on one side. I'm sewing down the right side. Doesn't matter if you sew down the right or the left, just so it's on one side only. So it should look like this and this. It should be two different colors if you choose. It doesn't have to be, but this is what it should look like. Now, what I would suggest you do, size 18 needle or above at this point, because it's gonna get thicker. I'm gonna iron this down to close these holes a little bit more. And yeah, that's what I'll do with this. Iron it on both sides. And then what you're going to do is cut about 2 inches off the bottom or the top. It doesn't matter. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so what you want to do with the long one is put a swivel hook on the end and then you're going to just sew this down, flip it down again, and then bring the swivel hook up and sew this part down. And then on the little one, you're just going to attach a D-ring and just sew the two ends together so that they're even, and then I'll show you what to do next. And this is what it should look like when it's all done. And there's the back side. This sew as close to the D-ring as you can to keep it from like flopping around. And then we get to the point where we attach it to the front of the little bag here. So one of them, it doesn't matter which one, is going to be attached to this side and the other to this side where you drew the lines. So you want to make sure that when you put this on that it's going to flip up like that. You don't want it to flip up the other way because then it'll be, well, unless both sides are the same. So with that, you're going to take this and you're going to stitch it across the top here. Always leave like a little bit extra at the top here, just a little bit, because it helps it so it doesn't, like, when you're, I don't know how to explain it, but just leave a little bit at the top, and then you can snip that off when you're just a little bit off when you're done sewing. And then the same with this one, you put it on this side. Okay, that's how you do that. So when you're done, it should look something like this. That. Now I'm going to show you how to do the lid that will close the bag up. You're going to put pretty side to pretty side together, and you're going to sew around here and then cut this off. Don't sew the top. When you're done sewing around the edge and cutting all the way the excess fabric, you're going to snip little snips around here so it turns crisp and clean. And I'm going to probably cut a little bit more of this off, but then you're going to turn it right side out. It should look like this. So then I want you to take like a chopstick and like poke a little bit. Don't poke too hard or you rip the fabric. And then you're going to take the iron and just press it on both sides. Now at this point, if you want to put a piece of Velcro on here, I'm just going to use a cam snap. If you want to do Velcro instead, you can. It's totally up to you. You can even do a cam snap, and if you have like a cute button, you can like glue it on top. Just make sure you use a glue that it's going to stay. So this is the fun part. This is where it almost comes to an end. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take the other side of the little bag and you're just going to sew around here, just around here. Do not stitch the top. And then with the inside of the bag, the liner, you're going to do the same thing, except you're going to leave a little opening about 2.5 inches at the bottom for turning, and then sew the rest of the way, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you what to do next. So this is the last part. You're going to put the pretty side against the pretty side of the liner with the opening here. Just don't forget to leave an opening for turning, and you're going to just sew all the way around the top opening of this bag all the way around. And you might want to double stitch it, because just to make sure that everything stays put and it's all good, because you don't want to go through all that trouble to find out, oh my gosh, I missed a stitch here, and then I have to redo it again. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch across here to close the bottom of the inside of the bag, and top stitch around the front of the bag, and then the cam snap right here. And if you need to know how to put those on, I can show you in a different video. And this is what we have here, a little bag to put chapstick inside. I've stuffed it with something to make it look fatter, but just to see the actual size, it's small. It'll go on your purse or your backpack, hold chapstick or coins or dollar bills, or even your little credit cards, ID cards. So yeah, it's really cute. I made another one, and it's downstairs, but yeah. So there's also a different way you can make the handle. So instead of using two of these, you just double the size of the handle and fold it over. Maybe I'll show that later. But yeah, that's what it looks like with one side white and the other side printed. Isn't it cute? I messed up. I had to unstitch it, but that's how it genuinely is going to look like. Yeah, I have to fix that stitching there, but yeah, that's it.